Good evening, brothers, sisters, and gender normer sisters. It's time once again for some more Pirates of the Geek Vortex podcast with me, your host, Ollamh. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so yeah, that's changed everything there too. Okay, I'll need to fiddle with that afterwards. But okay, so yes, we are kind of changing things up here a little bit. And we are kind of going with something a little bit different. That is, if things will behave themselves. So let's go ahead and jump in and get everybody in here. Hello, everybody.
Hello. My mic quality is pretty shit again because the network decided to shit out, so I'm on my phone.
Okay. Okay, so Caden doesn't have a picture up.
I will in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Do the...
All right, there we go. That's...
Yeah, I just had to reconnect my network.
All right, so
now... And I'll have something in a moment.
All right. If you're wondering why you can't really see anything other than my ugly mug, that is because we are in the process of kind of adapting things and changing things a little bit. We're actually going to have everybody's camera up. So, but in order to get it all set up properly, I need everybody on the call.
Right, give me one moment. The little puppy is going a little nuts. Hang on.
Okay, you're super quiet all of a sudden, Caden.
Why am I super quiet?
There we go. That's better.
Baby.
All right, so let's see here. I want to say this one's gonna be
My camera is on as well.
That's sudden extreme close-up.
Right?
But at least he looks like he's wearing a shirt tonight.
That's.
And there we go with this ventriloquism.
All right, let me get. Okay, let's get this. There we go. That now I can work with this. All right.
Hello, Ollamh.
All right. So
He is just full of all the everything.
Well, she's adorable. Of course she's energy.
All right, and we will hide that one for now, and we'll go ahead and show you guys what we're working with here. That is once I get that. Okay, there we go. All right, so yes, this is
working.
Yes. So we have, we don't have Nightkind right now, or Gamers isn't actually here right now. So we'll just go ahead and hide his so that people aren't confused.
I wonder which you use. It's like a random Canadian.
It's just this random picture. What's going on with that one?
Random Canadian would be an awesome band name. Why isn't it already a band name?
That's a good question.
Well, what am I looking up? Random Canadian or random angry Canadian?
Well, I don't think Gamers is usually very angry. I mean, Canadians aren't generally known for being angry.
I refute that fact that it exists.
But yeah,
There's a band named them Canadian.
Before we get really deep in...
Who is?
Okay, you're cutting in and out to where I couldn't tell if you were talking or not.
Again?
But before we get really into anything, I just need to take Ollamh out one more time, so...
Okay.
We'll do that.
I suppose we could allow that.
Well, what are we gonna do? I am down.
I don't know. Yeah, that... Thankfully, I had most of the HUD already done up, so it was like, oh yeah, so it's just a matter of, okay, I just need to, just need to add in basically like this little bullseye pattern type thing, and of course, I'm right in the crosshairs.
That is of your doings.
I mean, yeah. Technically, I'm the host, so I suppose I should be center. So, how have things been going, Caden?
Better? I mean, I'm not as... I've got a decent paying job, as we were discussing. I've managed to upgrade at least one piece of equipment now. I can actually feasibly think about streaming.
Well, that's always that's always helpful.
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering if it isn't like whether it's Discord doesn't like what you're doing, or if it's just your internet or what.
I don't know. I could start closing shit and seeing if it helps.
I mean, I don't know what your settings are for in Discord.
Let me find out. Voice video.
Because yeah, generally it's like your input volume and your input.
My input volume's maxed. My output volume isn't.
Well, yeah, but that's what you're hearing, not what you're broadcasting out.
There's a reason my output volume is maxed.
Okay.
And that's because when this mic is working correctly, it picks up damn near everything. So that's why I switched to headset, because while I was streaming on my channel, I was using this mic with my phone, and it would pick up Rasclin, Nightkind, and all them, and we have echoing to hell.
Oh, yeah. I could see that being a pain. So yeah, once somebody else joins in, then it's gonna be like, okay, now we need to readjust everything again, because Discord just can't keep, it would be nice if they would just let us say, hey, this is the setup we want, this is the grid that we want. And just, how many ever we have, that's how it should be. But of course, they don't want to. They don't think of shit like that.
I mean, their grid view sucks, but the dynamic view makes it even harder.
I could see that. There's got to be something that can, we can say. Okay, no, that's not. maybe they're using a plugin or something. Let me see here. Yeah, I think this is just the way that's. Oh, well. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a random setup. It's like you would think that it'd be like, no, this is exactly how it's going to be. All right, yeah, some voice channel. No, that's not what I want at all. Yeah, I think it's just you're pretty much shit out of luck as far as that goes, because they're not looking at it as, oh, hey, we want to help somebody stream. We just want, it's just, yeah, this is just how we're gonna do shit.
As everyone does.
I'm kind of surprised that nobody has made something that's like, oh, hey, you can actually do this stuff. You can set it up very specifically for this, that, and the other thing. Like, ideally,
specifically the chat program or a stream program?
Both. Like a chat program where you can voice chat and have the cameras and stuff and have it set up in very specific quadrants so that everybody has the same, that there's going to be there's going to be 5 people. So you set up 5 grids, a grid of 5, and it's all there. You don't have to fuck around with it.
It would be nice.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, with the amount of podcasts and stuff that people are doing and stuff like that, it's like you would think that somebody would be like, hey, this is needed in order to do this properly.
Right. I mean, we even had Zoom created around the pandemic. We were well into streaming, and even that is weird.
I haven't tried Zoom. I don't know what Zoom is even like.
It's like a stripped down, shittier version of Discord, basically.
Oh. That makes... Yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense. I mean, it was basically really pushed as, hey, this is just for doing voice stuff, so for doing meetings and shit like that, so they don't really need all the bells and whistles. Still, it's got to be better than fucking Twitter.
We don't talk about Twitter.
I mean, here is Elon Musk, who keeps bragging about how good it is, how wonderful, what a great platform it is. He's even talked one of the presidential candidates into offering him the role of government efficiency. But when they did to do a Twitter Spaces thing, just the two of them, they couldn't get it to work for like 40 minutes.
I mean, we're also talking about the same genius who said, "Nothing can break this truck," and then threw a bird through the window.
True. And then he blamed it on a DDoS attack. Oh, it was a DDoS attack. It's like, why didn't it affect the rest of the platform. Like, it should have affected the entire system, not just your one spaces event. Like, a DDoS attack on Twitter servers would have shut down the entire site. You would have thought that, you know, he had the exact same problem with fucking Ron DeSantis's announcement that he was running for president. And it's like, same shit happened. It's like, what the fuck, man? You didn't learn a goddamn thing?
I return. What the hell did not learn?
Oh, Musk not learning that the Twitter Spaces is bullshit.
Just stop. Not learning it.
Like, it fucked up when he tried to do one with Ron DeSantis, and it fucked up when he tried to do one with Trump.
Okay, but at the same time, at least it's not a metaverse.
Well, yeah, Elon Musk took something that was actually functional and fucked it up, rather than taking something that was already fucked up and fuck it up even worse.
I was just laughing at, you know, when they unveiled Metaverse, so like nothing like this has ever been before, and I like IMView, VR chat, Second Life.
Yeah, it's like there's tons of shit, man.
It's like we have all of this. We've had it on for a while. There's a reason we don't want this.
So, okay, on to the topic of tonight. Different thought experiments and stuff like that, or different problems that people tend to overthink. I was telling Caden before the podcast, this came up when I saw one that basically is resurfaced from like 8 years ago, I think it was. The portal problem. The portal problem is basically you have one end of the portal on a piece of ceiling that can move up and down. You have a cube sitting underneath it. Now that portal moves down to the cube. How does it come out the other end? Does it come out flying out the other end, or does it just kind of plop down as gravity takes hold of it? Now I saw oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, momentum does not end immediately, so...
Momentum does not end immediately, but you have to remember, the cube has no momentum. The portal, that right. One side of the portal has momentum, the other side has no momentum. The cube itself doesn't have any momentum. And there's a quote in the, there's a quote in the game, actually, let me look it up. Let's see here. So yeah, it's GLaDOS says in the original Portal, momentum, a function of mass and velocity, is conserved between portals. In layman's terms, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing comes out. Meaning there's no drag, meaning there's no outside force on the momentum. So if the cube, you know, by Newton's law, the cube is at rest, therefore it will stay at rest, because there is no outside force being applied to the cube. And I just thought about it. You could actually kind of simulate this in real life with a string, a tennis ball, and a hula hoop. If you suspend the tennis ball in the air, move the hula hoop up over it, so the strings inside the hula hoop, and then move the hula hoop down as fast as you can without touching the tennis ball, what's going to happen to the tennis ball? If it's A, you know, if A is the right answer, the tennis ball isn't going to move. If B is the right answer, the tennis ball should shoot up into whatever it is that's the other end of the string is attached to. Because the way it's portrayed in the game, that's all it really is. A portal is basically a ring. One side is in one area, and the other side is in the other area, and you're just passing through this glowing ring.
With the direction gravity pulls you suddenly shifting.
Exactly. So it would just, it would obviously fall because of gravity, but it should just be like, bloomp. But I saw so many people trying to they had already decided that they wanted B to be the answer, and they jumped through so many hoops to try and explain that no, B is the right answer. It would come flying out because of this and this and this, and like relative, the relative momentum. It's like, that's the relative momentum for the orange side of the portal, but the blue side of the portal has no momentum at all. And I think that's the biggest thing that people are missing, is that it's like one side of the portal has momentum, the other side doesn't. So which one's relative momentum would affect the cube? So what are some of the types of problems that you guys, thought experiments and stuff that you guys have? I know one that I want to ask Caden about, but
I was wondering if the caption for tonight's stream is one of these problems we shouldn't be overthinking.
What do you mean?
Go ahead, look at the title.
Yeah. I missed an O. Shut up.
I mean, it's okay. We've been complaining about the Pirate's Voice channel for ages.
I mean, most of the ones I thought of were things in popular fiction, like, did Captain America have to go down with the airplane? Things like that.
Did Han shoot first?
No, Han did not shoot first. Han shot, period. Greedo never got a shot off. He never once, in the original trilogy, he never shot. That was kind of the proving that Han Solo is a complete and utter bastard, is he shot somebody that wasn't shooting him.
I mean, Greedo did have a gun trained on him.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It was sort of a foregone conclusion of probably in Han's head of, yep, another fatality coming right up.
But at the same time, Jabba the Hutt wanted him alive.
It could be worse than death. Potentially. I mean, granted, what we saw as Jabba's depravities towards Han were a bit tamed by modern cinematic standards, you're right.
Yeah, I think he was restrained, considering he's supposed to be a gangster that has people skinned alive.
Yeah. And has a droid that literally tortures other droids. That was one of the most disturbing things about the original trilogy. It's like, here's this droid that's just like torturing another droid, and it's just like, everybody's just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
I think people's reactions at that point are the most horrifying things.
Yeah. So the one I wanted to ask Caden about, I wanted to see Caden's opinion on it. That's the Mass Effect 3 ending.
I barely remember it. Which one are you talking about?
Just which one would you choose? Which one is the right answer?
Oh, I chose Singularity. Because that is the right answer in my mind.
You chose which one?
Singularity.
Singularity? You mean synthesis?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's this goddamn thing.
Well, that's what it's generally referred to as synthesis. That's why I was like, singularity?
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Shit's gonna happen anyways. It would help us all out. It'd get half the galaxy to stop bickering. Let's just do that.
There's one the one answer that proves that you are not indoctrinated is destroying all artificial life. The other two, the control and synthesis. Control, basically Shepard becoming a Reaper and controlling all the Reapers, that's losing in Mass Effect 2. That was the whole plan of the harvesters, was to gather up enough human material to make a human Reaper. The interesting thing about synthesis is that's what happens if you lose in Mass Effect 1, because that was Saren's idea. And the Reapers actually say it. They say, well, we've tried to, to blend artificial intelligence and organic life together in many times in the past, but it's never worked. And that's one of the things that when I reached that, I kind of got to think about that, and I looked it up, and it's like, yeah, that was Saren and Sovereign's whole plan was, no, we're gonna blend, now that we have organic life that is like using implants and kind of turning themselves into cyborgs anyway, so we now have something to work with on that line.
Yeah, I don't know. There's occasion you might alternate Reapers and control.
I caught some of that.
Yeah, it's cutting in and out a lot.
Can't help what it is. So it's always and it should be but with deeper control.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't catch shit.
It's like it kind of sounds like a really, really bad cell phone connection. Like, hey, like we're catching, like, we're not even catching words, we're catching syllables.
You're going to type it in and have one of us read it, aren't you?
Okay.
How about this? Better?
I think that was a little better because, yeah, bandwidth, it must be a thing here.
Well, now I'm on my cell, so yeah, it's probably boosted by the cell signal.
Yeah.
And I was going to try switching myself over to voice activated for a second. Hopefully there's no feedback, so.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, the way I always saw this ending was that the implication was that with, what did they call him? The Illuminated Man or whatever, and the original, that was the Reapers in control, whereas when you do it with Shepard retains control even if they are indoctrinated.
Well, that's the interesting part that I found with that ending. It's like, depending on how you do shit, it still ends up bad for just about everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I was a renegade, so pretty much the only faction that was in control by the time I was done was me. Actually, I was a Paragon renegade. That was the fun part. Also, I did like the running gag that the reporter remembers how many times he punched her.
How many times did you punch her?
All 3 fucking times.
Oh, jeez.
Have you ever done that?
No.
So if you punch her the first time, it gives you renegade points. The second one, she remembers it, but she's like, oh, you won't do it again, then you punch her again. By the third one, if you've punched her in the first 2 games, she starts pushing again, and you go to take a swing, and she actually blocks it, takes her own swing, and then you block that and punch her in the gut anyways.
Interesting.
I just thought it was funny that she remembers.
Yeah.
I'm just going to admit right now, I have not really played the Mass Effect games. I'm vaguely aware of things like Shepard and everything as a whole, but other than that.
Everything as a whole?
The idea that he gets around.
Oh. For a moment there, I'm like, wait, isn't that a bit more the Tech Knight in The Boys? For anybody who hasn't seen The Boys, Tech Knight is this guy who is he has a problem with wanting to put his dick in every single hole he ever sees.
Does that include his own?
Well, you can't really see that, but, you know. So, like, his favorite food is donuts.
Of course it is.
All right, there we go.
And yet it's not pie. Okay.
Well, pies don't have holes.
But
They
he
do.
knows how to make one.
If you do a lattice crust, they have plenty of holes.
Not the type he's looking for.
Clearly, he's never seen American Pie.
That's basically what I was thinking.
All right, there we go. So now we actually have Caden's face up here, at least.
Oh, do I get an angry pick too?
No, yours isn't the angry one. It's just kind of like you kind of doing the wait a minute.
And I should mention now, Nightkind has to be up at ass in the morning, so.
Okay. That's no problem.
Exactly what time is ass in the morning?
Whatever time you don't want to be awake.
Kind of like the idea of, you know, you should never be awake for 5 o'clocks in the same day.
I beat it to 4.
Still better than a couple of days this week where it's been like, yeah, up for like 36 hours. It's like I have seen 3 different 11 o'clocks without sleep. I hate that.
I've done that a few times. Not always on purpose, usually not on purpose. I did have another geek conundrum that I've overthought.
Okay.
But are we done with Mass Effect 3?
I think so.
I don't really think there's anything else we can go into.
This is going to hurt everyone's brain. Droids learning to manipulate the Force.
I mean, if they have biological parts.
That was my first thought. That you basically take a droid and turn the droid into a cyborg. But one of the goals here would be to gain the same functionality of organic midichlorians by the AI and body attempting to duplicate the functionality with something less organic.
Well, would they really need to?
Would they really need to? No. Could it be done? That's the question. Because at that point, if we go with the need organic, then you're basically cloning extremely force sensitive individuals and grafting their brain matter minus the portions that contain memory onto an existing AI brain as the supplemental to be able to be force awakened. If the AI could eventually duplicate this without needing the cloned organ, that would be the step, in my mind, to accomplish this.
I don't think. I think you're overthinking things a bit too much.
Well, that is the point of today's stream.
The reason I say this is because you don't need the brain matter. Because all organics have brain matter, but they don't have enough midichlorians to use the force. The midichlorians are the linchpin. These are microscopic bacteria that live that are supposedly in everything. Not just organic matter, but in minerals as well. That's why you can manipulate rocks and stuff like that.
And why a kyber crystal is force sensitive.
Yeah. So it would be a matter of getting enough midichlorians into a non-organic life form that they are able to make a connection with that.
And at that point, we're asking ourselves, what part of the brain in an organic intersects with the midichlorians, and how do we mirror that in a synthetic?
Well, is a brain needed?
That's a good question.
If there's enough midichlorians in the material, for example, if you made a droid out of a massive kyber crystal, would it be able to manipulate the force?
I would love to see that.
All the materials are there. You've already got a mineral that is technically force sensitive.
The question is, I think, are we making an extremely force sensitive droid, or are we doing the equivalent of putting a computer next to a major T3 trunk but giving it no way to connect to it?
Well, that's the thing. It's, if you make the neural pathways in the positronic brain out of a material that has enough midichlorians to be force sensitive, that is the droid. That is what is doing the droid's thinking.
And
here I am.
Several horrible thoughts I've always had.
I'm just thinking that we've led ourselves to another conundrum.
You mean Force Ghost possessing force-sensitive droids?
Wrong. The moment he said positronic brain, my brain went, can Data use the Force?
That's another thought. I mean, Troy was able to sense Data's emotions at the points where Data had emotions. More in the series than in the movie.
So, I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, as long as there are enough midichlorians within his system, that, yeah, I mean, he should be able to.
And now I've got a worse one when we were speaking of kyber crystals. I tried doing this on my Sith PC once, and the DM was very careful to make sure I didn't come anywhere near it.
Okay.
Now, I should note, this is a chaotic good Sith I play, because of course it is. There is a particular type of kyber crystal, more prominent during the Old Republic era, that acts as a stun saber. Here's the horrifying thought. Make a giant lightsaber using this stun-based crystal that attaches to a ship to be wielded. I now attack an enemy ship with it. That ship is dealing with a hostage situation. My goal is to stun everyone on board. Is this doable?
I don't think it would be.
Because it might be so much power regardless of what it is. It might kill everyone on board. Or there's many other things. A shield could block it, like shields up.
Well, shields, metal, the clear plasteel. I mean, pretty much the ship itself would protect everybody inside.
Now, one thing that, if I use this particular type of stun saber on a droid, you know what it does?
Shouldn't do anything.
Exactly. It passes right through the droid. The saber isn't really, halted in its path of trajectory, and the droid doesn't feel a damn thing.
I don't know if it would. I don't know if it would technically pass through it, though. I mean, it's a question of how much of it is like a stun blaster versus a traditional lightsaber.
Taking into account that a lightsaber, regardless of its type, is still going to require a power source with 10 times the power of an equivalent blaster.
Yeah.
With that much power behind it, will the stun beam of the saber still effectively be projecting, if without consequence, through the inorganic? In D&D terms at the time when this was created, because Old Republic was based on D&D 3rd edition, these sabers did subdual damage, which does not affect constructs, undead, etc.
Yeah, basically it's interfering with the very specifically with organic neurological setup.
So there's a number of hurdles here, but even if we get all through them, the question is, I put, a bunch of humans in a field. I wave the giant stun saber through them all.
I mean, yeah, that technically should stun them all.
Technically. Also, we just have to pause right here for a second to clarify to someone who is listening and messaging me in Second Life. A, yes, you did just hear me get paid, and B, no, we are not talking about Star Wars D&D campaigns. We're talking about the problematic issue of, can artificial life use the Force?
And being a nerd, I derailed myself.
That's a rarity. Usually, it's one of us that winds up derailing someone else.
Everything.
We don't usually derail ourselves.
I see all things like this to be a challenge.
And to be fair, he has been on my channel for about 3 weeks now. We derail everybody on that channel.
No one is safe.
Actually, I think it was the first episode. We started talking, and what was it, 10, 20 minutes in, we just stopped and we realized that, unlike on here, we're both a lot less restrained, and we go into a lot deeper topics.
We did fatal character creation, so take that as you will.
Yeah, the first episode was us talking politics and religion while I'm playing Fallout, and we're like, we never talked about this. And then we went into fatal character creation. We made Raska a fatal character. Or at least we began to.
Began is it was Caden, me, Nightkind, and it was a glorious train wreck of what the hell are we doing?
We only got into 1/5 of character creation, because just by the time we got to his first stat block, we already had no idea what the hell we were looking at because the math was so complex.
And the rules were so obtuse in their phrasing.
Yeah, I generally try and shy away from politics and religion just because those are two things that I've always felt like that's kind of your own business.
Yeah, and we generally follow that, but we're just like, oh my god, there is so much shit happening in the political world right now. We just have to pitch about it.
Yeah, I mean that's understandable, but it's like, once you get down to, what you believe and what's this belief, what you feel is to be true, that's where it starts getting, well, that's personal. And most people are willing to entertain the idea that an idea that would change their mind, but they try and convince other people. It's like, if you're not willing to change your mind, you shouldn't be trying to convince somebody else to change their mind.
Well, we have gone a political episode to a point because we had the night. It would be political now. We tore into Elon Musk, which at the time.
True.
Hey, he's not a politician. He's not a politician.
He's not, but he's been getting more and more immersed lately. So it was less political then than it would be now if we did that.
I don't think it would necessarily be more. I don't think it would be more or less political. Just Maybe. Because we're not attacking him specifically for his beliefs. We would be attacking him for being a complete and utter dumbass. Like mentioning the Twitter Spaces earlier, that wasn't a political conversation. That was a conversation of he fired all his technicians and can't get his shit to work.
It would be like the joke Lindsey Graham made about Ted Cruz. If you killed Ted Cruz on the floor of the Senate and your trial was in the Senate, you would never get convicted. Less about Cruz's politics, because they're both in the same party, and more about how unlikable he was as a human, well, still is as a human being.
Exactly.
Or if you and I talk about how many of our last 7 governors have been in jail. That crosses party lines back and forth.
Yeah. I'm beginning to think we should adopt the something from Terry Pratchett and his book basically about Australia. The moment that they're elected, they just go to jail. just straight. They serve their term from jail. Period. Just get it done and over with.
I mean, that's
which convicts would I like to see running the country? Well, yeah.
That's the problem with the stuff like that. Like, we could talk about having the Discworld politics all we want, but we will never have anyone as cool as Lord Vetinari in office.
Well, that's true.
Like, I wish we had a politician who would fully be like, yes, I am committing crimes. Yes, it is horrible. No, I'm not going to stop.
See, that's the thing, though, is Vetinari technically commits crimes. You can't really commit crimes when you make the laws. But it's one of those things where, he commits crimes, but nobody really complains because everybody, the city is better off for it. If he had somebody assassinated, it's not, this was politically motivated. It's the city is going to be better off without this person. So that's why nobody ever really wants to get rid of him, because everybody's, hey, we're the people and the city are better off with him in charge. I think it was they kind of Terry Pratchett put it in the book. You can it's kind of like a chess game. You can take pieces off the board, but you don't smash the board. Getting rid of Vetinari would smash the board. It would make it so nobody else could play because everything would just fall apart.
And we will never have a politician that amazing.
No. I don't think we'll ever have a politician that just thinks about the people versus, rather than their own self-interest.
I can think of a couple throughout history, but they were very, very considered eccentric, to say the least, when you looked at them.
Yeah.
And not all their decisions, even if they were absolutely selfless in the doing, were always popular.
Yeah.
All right, case in point. There's two I'm going to bring up, and I'm going to get so many funny looks for the second one.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Jimmy Carter, the only man who absolutely, completely divested any potential conflicts of interest before entering office.
Yeah, even a peanut farm. It's like yeah.
He did the blind trust thing and all that. But his decisions were often questionable, allowing, things to do with Iran. Obviously, his agreements with the Shah led to some interesting things in 1979. And he had his own version of the Saturday Night Massacre, just more protracted, as he repeatedly, fired and replaced staff. Absolutely selfish? Possibly. Yeah, I think he was mean. Well, will I take him over many people who've been in office since? Yes. That doesn't make him good at the job.
Yeah.
I'll freely admit I'd have voted for him twice.
So, what's your second one? What's the one that you think you're going to get weird looks for?
Ho Chi Minh.
I don't know enough about. Yeah, I don't know enough about him to give you a funny look.
Basically, even American troops over in Vietnam at the time of our involvement in the Vietnam conflict basically said, we're trying to get the Vietnamese people to hate this guy, but he's basically a poor, underfed version of Santa Claus.
Okay.
Not to say the man wasn't ruthless at times. He wasn't some hippie.
Yeah.
He would burn down a village of loyal people if he thought it would give him a strategic advantage. But at no point could we really say the man did anything selfishly. He was basically living like a monk. You could blame that on some sort of fanaticism or insanity, but...
Well, okay, I would argue the case of... Was he doing it? Was he being selfish? Possibly not. But was he being selfless? And I would say, but was he thinking of others and doing things for others rather than himself? And I would say no. Simply because he was still being so brutal in order to win. It was win at any cost, even killing the people that he's supposed to be serving. That's a problem. That's not taking care of everybody. That's we want to win, and like with veterinary, with the idea of veterinary, it's everybody is better off with one sacrifice. This person is able to be sacrificed. This person is so toxic that everybody's going to be better off without them.
Okay, I get that. The closest thing I could think to him in modern fiction is quite possibly, I'm going to butcher this actor's name. He was in both Serenity and the Doctor Strange movies.
Oh, Travis before.
And his character in Serenity was very much I do horrible things, I will live like shit, but I believe I serve a greater good doing it. I'm not a good person, I don't get to partake in what I'm creating.
Said in one of the best lines in the movie, honestly.
Which line was that?
Oh, it's he and Mal talking, and Mal was saying, "Do you honestly believe that you're creating a better world? What's your role in a better world?" And the operative looks at him and goes, "Oh no, I have no illusions about the better world. There's no place for people like you or me in this world."
That's fair. Actually, that's yeah.
And that's why I saw Ho Chi Minh and thought, yeah, closest thing we've got in fiction.
I could see that.
Is he evil? Yes. But mostly because I don't even know how to describe it at that point. Its ends justify means.
But see,
but
with
not
that,
for selfish gain.
yeah, with that quote that Caden said, though, it's the idea of if the perfect world comes around, if an ideal world comes around, they realize that they can't be in it. That doesn't mean that they would that doesn't mean necessarily that they're, that they're not going to try for it, but they acknowledge that, hey, no. I wouldn't be able to exist in that world because that would then make it an imperfect world.
Another close, depending on who's writing him, version of that could be Magneto. But probably only if Clyde Caldwell is writing him.
Yeah, Magneto's... I don't know. I mean, I've said it before. Magneto... When he's in his, mutants only phase, that's just, it's becoming your own worst nightmare, basically.
Right.
I mean, it's he survived something exactly like what he's trying to put all humans through, and it's like, that's again another case of you didn't learn a damn thing.
When Clydewell takes him over, he, for the God Loves Man Kills storyline, he, Cyclops says, okay, you're clearly on our side in this combat because they're up against Stryker. For those of you in the audience, God Loves Man Kills is what X-Men 2 was based on, effectively. With some significant plot beat differences.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, Cyclops literally looks at me and says, what are you doing this? I mean, you don't want to rule the world, I don't think, the way you've been talking, but you want to take it over. It's like, yes, but dictatorships fall apart. And it's like, I've lived under a dictatorship. You're right, I know. Then what are you doing? All I need to do is leave the world to you. You pick up the legacy. It's not for me. And that moment, that is the, outside of the 90s Fox Kids version of Magneto, probably my favorite version of the character.
Yeah, I was gonna say in X-Men 2, I didn't really love what they did with Magneto there, because it was like he seemed to be kind of like, okay, no, there's a bigger threat, and then it was like, the moment that they had set up their mock-up of Cerebro to kill all mutants, he's like, oh no, I just changed a few panels, and now go ahead, Charles. No, go ahead and try and kill all mutants. You're gonna kill all humans, but go right ahead. And it's like, yeah, it's like they really stuck with the no. He wants all humans eradicated.
The version in the comic that's based on is Xavier is in a very similar machine. There is no child mutant manipulating him. It's just the machine. The X-Men are confronting Stryker on live television as a sermon. Stryker is actually a preacher, not a military man. He's former military. In a cathedral in D.C., and people start randomly bleeding from their ears, including the X-Men at one point, and it's determined, hey, everyone who's bleeding is a mutant. And it gets to a point when the President of the United States starts bleeding. It's about this point when Magneto bursts in through the cathedral and is hamming it up a little because he's agreed to become the distraction. screams at Stryker, "I will be your devil, you man of God." And basically Stryker orders Magneto to silently just blow Magneto's brains out, which he nearly does. Quick note, this is before Magneto's helmet was written to deflect telepathy, which at the time in the comics, it certainly did not. So yeah, character motivations were very different.
Yeah, that's one of those that's one of those little things that just I've never understood how they worked with the Magneto's helmet blocks telepathy type thing.
It was basically okay. The closest they got to it in the comic prior to the X-Men movie, and I know we're taking a massive tangent here, is when Dr. Doom basically helped formulate a helmet for him that would help him control other people. So it wasn't even deflecting then. He's always had a psychic rapport with Xavier. The two have actually several times, even before their shared history was retconned in, had telepathic conversations, and yeah, Magneto had the helmet on. Basically, Magneto is trying to control people so they stop hating mutants. He tries to use this power on Captain America, and is shamed because Captain America has never hated mutants. It gets odd. It's another one of Magneto's 80s morality plays.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the movie that started creeping its way into the comics. And unlike, say, the organic web shooters in the Spider-Man movies, which briefly bled back the other way, this actually held some traction. I mean, Juggernaut, if you were to say whose helmet blocks telepathy, he's who I would have said originally.
Yeah.
Magneto's helmet is literally just meant to invoke a thought of the devil because of the way the eyes are. He's even said this in some of the novelizations.
I mean,
Juggernaut blocking psychic imagery was weird. And then I remembered, well, he would kind of need it.
Yeah.
And the other thing in the comics is Magneto has telepathy, sort of, but he's only got one major power beyond. If he tries to have a telepathic conversation with you the last time he had any, he would damn near hemorrhage himself doing it if you weren't telepathic yourself. But his big power was just basically telepathic defense.
Yeah.
Like, could he hold his own against Xavier for a while, but Xavier would eventually burrow through. When he got his mind wiped in the Fatal Attraction storyline, it was only because it was Jean Grey and Xavier working in concert, burrowing into his brain to start the attack. And Jean Grey breaks off as soon as she sees exactly what Xavier is going to do to Magneto. At that point, Xavier basically psychically backs her aside and says, "Nope, I'm finishing this. Bye-bye, Eric."
I mean, I guess my biggest problem with Magneto's helmet being that the resistance is the number of times that he has been captured, imprisoned, had it removed by somebody else. It's like, how has nobody figured out what the material is that's in it that helps block mental attacks? It's like that would be for me, that would be like the number one thing. The moment you get a hold of that helmet, it's like, what is it made of? What's it made of? What's unusual about it? You know?
Yeah, it's why I wish they had just kept with he's got one telepathic power, it's defense, and he's really good at it. Don't ask him to even do a telepathic conversation.
Yeah.
And I think they've opened themselves to some plot holes, and we can't even say, oh, it's only powerful while it's on him. That's why no one else can replicate it. No, recently in the comics, Wolverine got Magneto drunk, ran off with the helmet, and used it to go up against a psionic enemy.
Well, they kind of did the same thing with Juggernaut's helmet in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right, although they had never mentioned in any of the movies previously his helmet being able to do that.
Yes, they did. Deadpool 2.
Oh, they did? I missed it. Okay.
When he's talking with Russell, he's like, yeah. So, Russell's like, so your helmet blocks telepathy? It's like, yeah, my half brother. It's to keep my half brother out. And it's like, oh, okay. It just like it was like a very brief, just kind of like most people would consider it a throwaway line, but it's like no, they established it right then and there.
Okay.
Sorry, Caden. I think we kind of cut you off.
All right.
No.
Yeah.
I was going to mention Deadpool and Wolverine, but the last time we mentioned it in conversation, it was like a week after it had come out. So we were just like, this falls under the spoiler timeline.
Yeah.
It's been a month, roughly. Is that right?
That's what we do on this channel. Yeah, a month.
Okay. So, but yeah, I wish they had kept up with he's got one power, and the helmet is a fashion choice, and his suit is basically made of metal mesh, and he can assemble it at will. Because it's kind of like a memory pillow pre-done in his head as a rote. Like he could subconsciously make both of them, the helmet and the armor.
One of the other things that I always annoyed me with Magneto was was him being able to fly. Like if he's got metal pieces in his costume, fine. Using that, yes. But magnetism does not equal affecting, able to manipulate gravity.
Not unless he starts, and they've never said he does, like if he had implanted metal in himself. And to be honest, I don't see why he wouldn't, but at the same time, they've never explicitly mentioned him doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even the iron in his bloodstream, you're flying with that, aren't you going to mess up your circulation, no matter how fine your control is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or metal deposits in the stomach would be about the only thing I could say, and then it would be like, you are lifting yourself up by a metal deposit in your stomach. This is going to be like going into an MRI with dental implants.
Yeah, it's not going to be pretty.
So, I'm always of the opinion that if he's got clothing he's made, then okay. And he has been known to rip metal right out of the earth and assemble things from ore.
But I mean, they I think they tried to explain it one time. It's, he's manipulating the Earth's gravitational force. And it's like, but has nothing to do with magnetism. Now, he could cook just about anybody on Earth by, removing the magnetosphere and just allowing the solar radiation to just absolutely, just boil everybody alive. But that's not, there's the whole downside of, he's part of everybody.
Yeah, it's gone back and forth. Like at points says he's only got control over ferrous metals. That's gone back and forth with he's got control over any metal, whether it's naturally magnetic or not, and they use this to explain how he levitated a bunch of gold once, which is distinctly non-magnetic.
Yeah.
As far as what he can do with powers like the gravitational field, they have, over the years, said he has gotten powerful enough that he controls damn near any form of energy, not just magnetism and electricity.
I've got it.
But again, this is something they go back and forth on.
I've got it. He's a descendant of one of the aliens from the fourth Indiana Jones film. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. Because those crystal skulls were somehow magnetically attracted gold, and that's how they found it in the movie. He's a descendant of one of them.
I mean, when you get down to it, he is just an extremely limited version of, say, Jean Grey. His telepathy, where he's got it, is powerful, but it's, again, limited to just defense. He's got telekinesis, but there are some stipulations on it. So, you could argue that any power conversation we have about him, we could also have about Jean Grey or anyone else with that whole telepathy, telekinesis mindset.
I mean, with
But again, where he's got his power, he's got it in spades. So as long as metal is involved, he'll win a psychic arm wrestling contest.
yeah.
And this isn't even getting into other things, quote-unquote, psychics could do in the X-Men universe. I mean, what is psychometabolism? Does that mean that Wolverine is technically a psychic? Destiny,
yeah, that's
clairvoyance.
well, I mean, that's kind of stretching the idea a bit as far as, you know, as far as that type of thing goes, because it's like that is not mentally controlled.
Unless you count Medulla. Sorry, go on.
That is his cells on a genetic level.
Right.
I actually saw a video that kind of explained that a little bit. Like, you know, so you know how, like, your cells regenerate all the time, right?
Right.
Well, each time they regenerate, a little sliver of the DNA gets cut off. That's why we age. That's why, you know, you start getting, you know, your skin doesn't bounce back as much, so you get wrinkles. Your hair turns gray because the DNA has slivered down to the point where it's lost what color it's supposed to be. But instead of, but with Wolverine, that sliver is incredibly smaller than in a normal person. That's why he ages so much slower. That's why he's able to regenerate faster. Is it's just, you know, it's almost a perfect copy. It is so much closer to a perfect copy than, you know, an actual person, that a normal person, that, you know, it seems like he is just, yeah, he doesn't age. He's immortal. That's at least what they attempted to scientifically explain away. I still find it interesting that they finally, you know, they finally confirmed one thing that makes a lot of sense, and that's Wolverine's greatest weakness. And that's cold.
Makes sense.
I thought it was water.
You thought it was what, Caden?
I thought it was water.
Nope. It is cold. Because his bones are basically are surrounded by metal, especially if he pops his claws. That temperature difference is going to, you know, that is going to affect the metal in the claws and then into his bones and spread. So all of a sudden his core temperature is just going to plummet.
Oh, trust me, I know all about cold and metal. I always thought the feral Wolverine was fun.
And also the near feral one from the 90s, post Fatal Attraction.
Yeah, well, I just meant the whole, if we got rid of adamantium, he heals so much better, but oh shit, he goes feral.
Yeah.
And his face twisted and warped. And then they decided to carry that into Beast, and Beast grew a muzzle in addition to... Yeah.
I mean, with Wolverine, it makes sense. It kind of makes sense because it's like, you know, a lot of his metabolism and stuff like that, a lot of his basically all things that make make his healing factor stuff are basically fighting metal poisoning. So it's like, yeah, we you know, and that enables his conscious mind to take more control rather than his subconscious, and, you know, the massive amounts of hormones that his body is probably pumping out.
I'm reminded of a moment from Whedon's Astonishing X-Men which got animated sort of for Netflix at one point. A telepath enters the Xavier Mansion. I want to say it is, one of the villains from Deadpool and Wolverine. I want to say it's Cassandra Nova.
Yep.
She reverts Beast to a feral creature and reverts Logan to a 10-year-old.
You know something?
Now, Beast gets cured because a blind mutant finds by smell a ball of scents, like various scents, each one cued into a rubber band in this ball. Presents it to him, and it basically works as a mnemonic key and wakes Hank up. And he explains this to Logan, and then says, "So Wolverine, what woke you back up and reminded you you're you?" Beer fell in my mouth. "Oh yeah, that would do it."
I just thought of something. Is it possible that the whole reason that Wolverine is feral, goes into rages, and is so uncontrollable, especially without the adamantium, is because he is perpetually going through puberty?
Pretty much, yes.
For some reason, that just when I mentioned when I said the bit about the hormones that he's pumping out, it's like, if everything is working at peak efficiency at its most, yeah, he has been in like a 200-year puberty.
That would also explain why he's a mimetic love machine.
Yeah.
You were asking his weakness, and I was trying not to say underage sidekicks, but
No.
I realized that could apply to Batman.
We're talking about Wolverine, not Colossus.
No, I'm still talking Wolverine at that point.
Actually, you want to get his real weakness, it's his family.
Yeah. God, it's that old man Logan. Wow.
I'm sorry, the old man Logan stuff just. The old man Logan is fine. It's the Hulk in Old Man Logan that's just like, oh my god, could you guys be any creepier?
Banner as an edgelord.
Well, no, Banner with an incest family.
Yeah, that one.
That was...
Yeah.
It was cringe. It was serious cringe.
The problem is that, like, a lot of creators just go down that road, and it's like, fucking why? What is wrong? What is it about, like, creating something, like, comic book, animated show or something like that, that's just like, it's just, is it required? Is it like, okay, you have successfully created something, now you have to be into an incest? Like, so many things just go down that road. Like, fucking Rick and Morty were like, oh yeah, it's, is there anything really wrong with that? It's like, yes. Very much yes.
Some people just need to push that envelope. I mean, we used to say that about South Park, and now it's like, oh, Matt and Trey, we judge too harshly for you two.
Yeah.
Because even their worst, their absolute worst on the show, yeah, no, can't hold a candle to some of the shit I see these days.
I mean, to be fair, Matt and Trey have held back a lot in recent years.
I think that's more or less been having to deal with, reading the room. The room being, of course, the Western zeitgeist at this point?
I mean, for me, I don't think it's so much, reading the zeitgeist as we've proven time and time again as a society that being, going to that edge, going to the extreme is very much rewarded. I mean, look at how many, influencers have gone to extremes to the point where they've had to take some time away and then come back, and they are more popular than they were before.
Even if they really shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, the other thing with South Park is that they've pushed the envelope and made fun of so much shit for years at this point. Do they really have anything else they can do?
I don't know. I mean, same thing could be kind of asked about Simpsons. I mean, they never pushed things nearly as far as South Park did, but it's like, how many more stories do they really have before it's just like, okay, it's just getting kind of, repetitive and just not as interesting.
All you can do is trace the issues of today, the changes of today. I mean, the Simpsons nowadays walk around with smartphones, I believe. And, well, obviously they weren't doing that in the late 80s, early 90s. I wonder just how long until we accidentally get a Tracy Ullman show out of The Simpsons?
Yeah, gamers, I agree. Simpsons kind of just went quite a while ago. It's like, well, I mean, even South Park. South Park they've officially said that South Park will be back in 2025 after the election and everything, because they have nothing more for it. Like, we've said all we have to say about, one of the people, and the other person we really don't have anything to say, so they're not even bothering. They're just like, nah, we're done for this year. We'll be back next year. And I think that's kind of, if anything, that should be the sign that it's time to stop. When you have it so that, hey, here's, this is the major thing going on in our country, but we really have nothing to say about it. We have no fresh jokes. We have nothing we've said everything we have to say. It's like, so you're just stopping for the year. It's like, that should be a sign that their ability and their storylines are slowly coming to an end.
I mean, you can only expect so much renewal from something. Maybe things just have to go under for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, there's an old anime I used to love. Still do. Early 80s. From the creator of Ranma 1/2, Takashi Rumiko. It was called Urasei Yatsura. The premise is kind of weird. A young teenage boy saves the world technically by winning a race/tag game against a beautiful space ogre princess. And his victory cry accidentally gets the two married to each other. Now she lives with him and his family. And that had a whole lot more different stuff going for it in early 1980s Japan, where that whole country was still very different, as opposed to, say, nowadays, the new opening has the main character, who is Ataru. He is a horn dog using dating apps on a smartphone. Something we could very much see the older character doing with modern technology, but it's an update over 30 years apart. And a lot more can change in that time. A lot more interesting stories can come up in that time. If you showed a season 3 episode of Simpsons back to back with, I don't know, whatever the season was 2 years ago, imagine all the little things a viewer from the 90s would look at that and go, hey, what the hell? Followed by the viewer from modern day going, why don't they just look on their smartphone?
Why don't you just Google it, bitch?
And now, the more I think about it, I got my first cell phone in 2001. I got my first smartphone in 2010.
Yeah, I think that was about, well... No, I didn't get my first smartphone till, like, 2018.
Okay, yeah, for me it was a BlackBerry with the whole massive keyboard, but it wasn't too expensive at the time.
I mean, I had one of the one of the dual slide phones where you could pull out a full-on keyboard, but yeah, it still wasn't like, I wasn't really able to do much on the internet or anything like that. It was just for messaging.
I've had 2 phones with keyboards. In fact, like 2 smartphones with keyboards. One was that BlackBerry, and the other was a Samsung Transform. Oh gods, I hated the Samsung Transform in hindsight. Let's just say engineering problems.
I could see that, yeah.
Hey, girl. Everyone, enjoy your olive cam here at home. What, Daddy's ear is delicious? Is that the moral of our story tonight?
What have you been putting in your ear?
Cocaine. I'm kidding. The cocaine is in a gland in her head. It just secretes it.
What is it with cocaine and popping up this week? Jesus.
I mean, if you're gonna pop anything...
Has cocaine been coming up a lot lately?
Actually, yes. It's a running gag at my boss's place because he is a cook, but he likes to keep his spices in like just little dime bags. So like several times this week, I've just picked up like bags of salt or sugar or something and just be like, cocaine? Then I take it out with a friend and he's like, hey, you know what we should do? We should go get Coke. And I was like, why? He's like, I don't know. I just always wanted to say that.
If anyone's familiar with the comic, sort of, web text from superheroes, there's a point where someone is trying to explain the 80s to Captain America, and he's just, like, panicking at everything he's hearing, saying, well, someone tell me what happened in the 80s. You're all panicking like it's the weirdest stuff and all these things. And Iron Man just chimes in and says, cocaine, Steve. Cocaine happened in the 80s.
Yeah?
I don't think Steve would be that worried about the cocaine, considering the era he grew up in.
True. There's also a horror movie that was recently made called Totally Killer, where a young modern-day teenager goes back to the 80s. I think this movie came out in either 2022 or 2023.
It came out in 2022. I have watched the dead meat on it.
I liked it, honestly. But early on in the movie, after our protagonist winds up in the 80s, she gets a random lift from a woman she meets at the local fairground. And the woman says, the 80s are almost over and I haven't even done cocaine yet.
That is the running gag. Like, we discussed this before. Every generation has its, like, joke. In the 80s was Coke.
The drug of a new generation.
Pretty much. Like, anytime something happened, and like, how the fuck did you come up with this? cocaine.
I was making a really roundabout pun there because Pepsi was the choice of a new generation, and
I know, but Coke doesn't have an analogous drug.
because the
Doesn't
original
have-
had the cocaine. Damn it.
Yeah. I was like, there really is no.
Now, see, thinking about it, a cook keeping like seasonings and stuff in like some sort of a sealable bag actually makes a lot of sense.
Oh no, yeah, it does, but it's just when you pick up an unlabeled bag, like
Well,
you're
yeah.
forced to- you're either like, okay, I can just put this down and be a responsible adult, or
No, you got to do the classic cocaine test.
exactly.
Who huffed a whole bag of oregano? I want to know.
If you're huffing a whole bag of oregano, then you've got problems because that doesn't even look like Coke.
Yeah, like he actually labels the oregano. I was like, okay, what is this? He's like, that's sugar. I was like, okay. I was like, what about this one? He's like, that one's salt. That one's smoked salt. That one's really smoked salt. And I was like, why do they all look like cocaine?
So wait, he labels the one that doesn't really look like the rest?
Oh no, it's like the rosemary, thyme, all of that. They're in sealed containers, like vacuum sealed containers, and are labeled. There's like some of them he just has in little baggies. I'm like, okay, why is it that all the baggies are the ones that can be easily mistaken for various drugs?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, I want to know how many times someone snorted the nutmeg.
I haven't seen nutmeg in his house yet, actually.
I look up at the Discord screen there, and all I see are Rasclin's eyes, just like leaning in so far that all you can see are his eyes. I'm just like, oh fuck, that's.
I was picturing that horrible line that made the round on Facebook lately, and it's Skeletor going, "Remember, nutmeg taken anally can cause a fatal overdose. Until we meet again." I'm like, how the fuck do we know this?
Oh. Speaking of, that reminds me. We need to talk about our game.
Which, what?
You seemed to like the idea of us playing Cards Against all in character.
Oh, okay, that one. I'm trying to figure out which one, because I'm like, wait, well, we do need to figure, we do need to do like a test run or two of like Baldur's Gate 3 as a group, and then figure out.
I'd be up for a brief try after the show tonight.
Yeah, we need to do that, and that would probably be easiest.
Yeah, do a test run first, and then we can see about streaming it and stuff like that.
Streamline or we stream?
I was about to say, we can test run to see how it connects with all three of us. And then I can do a quick and dirty private stream to see how it handles streaming.
All right, yeah, that'll work.
I learned a lot from being forced to do a month of hosting.
Hey, well, I mean, you've been talking about getting into streaming and stuff for a while. It's like, well, okay, well, and finally, I'm just like, it was, I had a bunch of shit coming up, so it's like, okay, the only way to figure shit out is to just do it. Just.
This is
Well,
how
it was
I
also
learned
easier
streaming
that
my
way.
radio show for a bit.
Yeah, it was easier that way because I was like, okay, part of the reason I don't like streaming is that, I don't have anyone to stream with, and I already did a 30-minute stream where I basically just battled my ass off and I hated every second. So I was like, but you know what, if I'm doing it with pirates, like, that's much easier because these are people I know, we know how to play off one another, I know that we're going to have a constant banter.
See, for me, I tend to, when I'm alone, I will talk things out with myself out loud. So streaming is just kind of doing, if there's nobody really in the chat or anything like that, that's just, I'm used to it. The biggest thing for me was dropping the self-consciousness and just being like, fuck it. I don't care.
You gotta get through that. Okay, well, no one wants to listen to me. It's like, fuck if anyone wants to listen to me.
Exactly.
The people who want to listen to you will listen to you. Or, you'll meet them in weird-ass places like Second Life, suggest a song that they should DJ, and then suddenly they're your fucking co-host.
There you go. Or some random Canadian that just, catches up, just realizes that you're playing old games and starts hanging out and stuff like that. Or somebody who has some professionalism and is used to doing this type of thing.
And bonus, you happen to know them.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming up at about an hour and 40 minutes here.
Indeed.
And it kind of sounded like we're all just kind of like...
I was about to say, do we have anything to push it, or are we all just running out of stream at this point?
I think we've kind of talked about all the stuff that was really kind of coming up.
See, that's we're going back to that. That's the thing with having you, me, and Rask as the three mainstays. When it's just us, we talk about anything and everything, but we run out of topics really quick because we all know the energy and everything we wanted to say, we've said.
Well, that's not a bad thing, because it's like, it keeps it a bit more, hey, when you're out of stuff to talk about, you call it for the night.
Because otherwise we'll fall into that comfortable silence where we don't need to talk and we can all just do our thing.
Yeah, that does not make for very, very, very thrilling content.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great if we were doing a creative stream and we were all streaming stuff like that, like working on a project together, but we're not.
That's the one thing with Baldur's Gate 3. My God, the fucking dialogue in it. There's so much.
Yeah, I've been noticing that.
That's why I was kind of hoping to maybe, if we did it, play it modded and see, I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing the Baldur's Gate engine get used for other stuff. Like if I want to run, like people did with Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2, if I want to run Torment, if I want to do a Ravenloft adventure. I mean, it's got the Illithid ship, so I want to run Spelljammer.
No, I was kind of thinking of something like what Hairbrain did with the Shadowrun games. Make it so that, hey, here's all the assets and stuff, create your own campaigns for people and let them do, let people play through that campaign.
And let me show you one of the campaigns I'd really like to try. Hold on.
Have you seen the voice actually in their campaign?
What'd you say, Caden?
I was saying, I have to ask, have you seen the voice actors for Baldur's Gate actually playing their campaign?
Yes.
I haven't yet, no.
Oh, one of my favorites is the voice actor for Asterion was in a scene, and they had Gale come up on him, and they're like, all right, describe what's going on, and Asterion's actor was sitting there going, all right, so I have this badger, and I've slit its throat, and I am holding it up to my mouth, like, with my tongue out, and right as the Gale comes up, I, like, hastily just hide it behind my back. Gale's actor was like, so I just come up and was like, my God! Did that badger attack you with tomato sauce? And the Sarah's like, yes, he did. Naughty badger. It's like the whole part is that these are the people that have put so much into their character that you can actually see the character themselves.
I've offered Ollamh, you and I have a friend. She can visually do a perfect Asterion. And I offered her, I will do a voice at least close enough to Asterion and dub her if she wants to do horrible, horrible films of him.
Here we go. I'm going to pop it in the live stream chat.
To bother you, I'm searching for armor I buried here earlier. So I'm all broken neck, dripping in.
It's coming through your mic.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
But the module I would like to run you all through at some point in Baldur's Gate 3's engine, if it's doable.
Yes, he did.
Hellbound: The Blood War. A beautiful box set of damnation. Literally.
I mean, depending on the assets that they have in the game, that might actually be possible. I mean, I honestly, I would love to see them have something like the like a campaign creation kit. That would be amazing.
Baldur's Gate has officially stopped, or the studio, Larian Studios, has officially stopped making content, which means it's all in the modding community now. Having been in a couple modding communities, I really want to see what happens.
They're not.
That is half the reason I bought the game when it went on sale for the first time ever.
They're not quite done with it yet.
Oh, really?
They still have one. They still have one major update that they're working on.
Okay, I'll definitely want to see that.
Yeah, update 7 was massive, but they said they're not quite done yet.
And I can still hear you. There's also one other horrible thing I would love to run. And I would have to do some work for it first. I don't know how clearly or if it will be reversed. This will be on the camera.
Vampire the Masquerade. I can't quite read the rest of it.
Unofficial D20 supplement for use with 3rd edition D&D. Have I run a Forgotten Realms Vampire the Masquerade crossover? Yes, of course I have. I have a Sabbat pack get lost in the Dale Lands after crossing through, thanks to the evil that is the Obtenebration discipline.
Okay.
And then the player characters, who are actually from the Forgotten Realms, mostly, are hunting a Sabbat pack that just embraced an entire orc village.
Holy shit.
When I run a campaign, I fuck things up. The other campaign I ran in a Chicago by Night Urban Arcana crossover, I had to research ancient real-life heresies to do it justice, as my player characters are attempting to stop an offshoot of the Monophysite heresy from doing an underground forced conversion of Chicago's entire Catholic population. Led by 5th-generation Toreador, who was there for the First Council of Nicaea.
Okay. So as
I'm not allowed to have ideas.
As far as doing a Baldur's Gate 3 test tonight, might take a little bit because I have not actually downloaded the new update.
We need to do that too, so I will start downloading it right now. My apologies if my frames get choppy.
Yeah, I just started downloading it myself, and I'm just like, because I was like, oh hey, I don't know if I have ever downloaded that. And it's like, oh no, I haven't. It's 141 gig. All right.
Oh, Lily.
I mean, it's telling me that it's gonna take about 5 minutes right now, but you know how that is.
Yeah, mine went from 5 to 2 to 1 hour to 30. It didn't take me that long to download it yet, today, though, so it should be fine.
Let's see where I'm at. Is it going to ask me to delete an MMO? Is it going to ask me to add another hard drive? Who knows? Larian Studios is having an up to 85% sale at the moment. Baldur's Gate 3 itself, is 20% off, down to 48.
Question use test. Are we going to use pre-existing characters, or are we just going to create one?
I mean, for me, I will probably like create one. I'll probably create something. I don't know what yet.
Yeah, I'm still wondering why I decided to go with a Loathbound Drow monk than multi-class in the rogue. Actually, I know exactly why I did it, but I'm wondering why it keeps popping up.
You did it for a stink attack with the bonus damage being multiplied and stacked through the monk.
Let's go with that.
That's why I would say for 5th Ed tabletop, I don't know how well that translates into the game. Because I haven't done that much multi-classing yet. The first time I tried, Drow, Paladin, Barbarian. Of course I did. This is also how I once built a lawful good Sith.
Oh, so the question... Are we going to have a bard? And if so, who?
A bard warlock.
I don't know about
My
the what.
pact is with the music.
See, I've never I don't know, because I've never really been good with spellcasters.
Well, I mean, it's D&D, so it's still using the Vancian system for magic.
Oh my god, why did you put the Dissidia hair in Baldur's Gate?
The what in Baldur's Gate?
Dissidia, the Final Fantasy.
All right. So yeah, we're coming up on we're now at 1 hour and 50 minutes. I think we're pretty much I think we're pretty much done with the podcast for tonight.
Yeah, I think we.
So yeah, that is something that to keep an eye out on over on Caden's channel. We'll have some Baldur's Gate a group play of Baldur's Gate 3 at some point once we get everything ironed out as far as stuff goes and figure out what the hell we're doing and what stuff we're playing and stuff like and everything like that. But okay, you guys want to go ahead and say your good nights?
I still have no outro, so good night, everybody.
Gotta work on that.
Tomorrow night, Over the Edge on Community Radio for East Central Illinois, 90.1 FM, WEFT Champaign. Streaming online at new.weft.org/listen.
Or just take a look at the description down below.
Indeed, because we have it tonight.
But all right. As always, guys, thanks for being here, and I will go ahead and do my outro.
Have fun with that. Don't die.
Try not to. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. If you like the video, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new here, don't forget to press the subscribe button. If you want to be kept up to date of when we go live and stuff like that, make sure to check out the social media links down below, the Facebook page, the Twitter account, the Tumblr account, and the permanent invite for our Discord server, where I make sure to notify you of when we go live and stuff like that. All that so that you can stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions. Cheerio!